Hi, I'm John Crawford and I'm blind. Okay, I'm going to share an experience that I had today. I like to use my own experiences on this channel, not because I'm making this an all about me kind of thing or, giving my life story, but my own experiences are my experiences and I know they're legit. And I know, therefore, that I'm not speaking or trying to speak for the entire blind community, but just telling you how things have happened for me. Anyway, let's get into it. So, on Sunday mornings, I have gone into the habit of doing my grocery shopping by putting in my grocery order the night before and having, doing the grocery store pickup thing. And my mom usually takes me to the grocery store to pick up my stuff, and then we go home. My mom is 87, fixing to be 88 here pretty soon. And that's getting harder and harder for her to do. And it's becoming unpredictable. And I've got to take her age and her health into consideration. And I also realize that I'm a very fortunate person because I have a neighbor that lives in my neighborhood. I've known him since I was a little kid. And he jumped right up and said, "Hey, I can help you get your groceries." So on Sunday mornings, my neighbor comes and gets me. We go get our stuff and we're good to go. And I realize that a lot of people in the blind community don't have this kind of resource. I've been there. I have walked 2 miles to the grocery store, shopped for an hour, put my groceries in a backpack, and walked 2 miles to get home. I know, my friends, what you're going through. I've been there. And so when you have someone that's in your neighborhood that's like, "Hey, we'll just make this a lot easier for you," I really, really do appreciate it. Now, with that being said, I also a lot of people are like, "John, why don't you use public transportation?" Well, in this community, public transportation is really not available. I do believe that they try to proceed with the best of intention. It's all on a volunteer basis anyway, so it isn't ideal and it isn't always readily available, and it's kind of hard to depend on them. We don't have Uber or Lyft drivers around here. Nobody operates here. And we used to have taxis, but I don't think those are here anymore. Even back in the day, the taxis were very expensive. So that was not an option we wanted to use on a regular basis either. So again, I'm a very fortunate person that I have a neighbor that is willing to help me when he's available. So I'd like to talk about some tips that I can offer to my friends in the blind community when we are accepting help from others. First of all, I want to add this. When I was younger, I had a member of my family that used to teach me all the bad things. He used to teach me that I should mask my blindness and not let anybody know that I'm blind, almost to the point of being ashamed of it. This family member also taught me that asking for help is something that made you weak. If you go up to someone in a store and say, "I'm visually impaired, I need help," this person would make fun of me for that. And that is just not the way to think. We live in a world that caters mostly to people who can see. And sometimes we need help managing and making our way through it. I have a family of my own to take care of. And if I don't get some help sometimes, I can't see to their needs. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it. And by no means should you mask your blindness or your disability. People need to know you're out there so that you can get the help that you need. That being said, and saying that yes, we do need help from time to time, there are ways that we can make this easier for the people that are helping us and that are taking the time to do those things out of their day for us. So what I'm going to talk about specifically is getting rides from family and friends, because transportation for blind people is a major, major issue. And they have not yet come up with any viable solutions to that particular problems. I don't think any of us can afford a Tesla or any self-driving vehicle. And even if you do, the laws currently surrounding that are that if you're in an autonomous car of any kind, you have to have a licensed driver in the vehicle. So yeah, that's not going to be a thing for a very, very long time. And at least in my community, roads are not completely accessible around here. There are some very dangerous places to walk in my town, and you have to be very careful when you're out walking around. I myself was hit by a truck when I was in high school, and get this, This happened while I had an orientation and mobility instructor with me, and the vehicle wasn't watching what he was doing. He made an illegal right on red without yielding, and he hit me in the back of the head with his rearview mirror. And this was while I was in the presence of an orientation and mobility instructor taking a lesson, and we had both evaluated the traffic situation. He told me, evaluate this, tell me when you think it's safe to cross. I looked, I checked, I said, it's safe to cross now. He said, correct, proceed. I stepped out into traffic and somebody came out of nowhere and hit me on the back of the head and knocked me face down on the ground. So those things can happen even when you're being careful. This particular O&M instructor was a very conscientious teacher. Anyway, talking about all of that, transportation is a major issue for blind and visually impaired people, and that is something we majorly need help with. So, here are some things that we can do to help the members of our community who are kind enough to take time out of their day and to put wear and tear on their vehicles to make it a little bit easier for those folks. First of all, what I always make sure they know how much I appreciate what they're doing and that I'm aware of the fact that they're taking time out of their busy day to come and help me with this particular thing that I'm doing. Be aware, I always try to be aware of the fact that they're putting wear and tear on their vehicle and they're spending money on gasoline to come and get me. So I always offer them a little gas money. When I have asked someone to come and help me to do something, I try to make sure when they come and get me that I am ready to go when they pull up. I'm watching for them to pull up. Sometimes there are unforeseeable things, but for the most part, I want to make sure that I'm ready to go and ready to walk out the door and jump in the car. Everything else is taken care of. Next, let the person know ahead of time, either before they come and get you or when they arrive, what your intended route is. I always do it beforehand. There are very rare occasions when there's something that's unforeseeable or I've thought of something important, but I try to keep that to a minimum. Make sure that you know exactly what you're doing, where you're going, and what your plans are. And when I'm out and I'm doing my business, I'm taking care of my things, I always try to make sure and get those things done as quickly as possible. Now, that doesn't mean rush and cut corners and forget things, or you know how it is when you do things hasty. Don't do that. Take your time, get the stuff done that you're doing, get it done right, but get it done as quickly as the situation permits you to do so that you can get back and so that the person can then take you home and be on their way. Let them know how much you appreciate what they're doing. I always make a point to chat with them and try to keep the conversation light. And one other thing that I like to do, especially if I'm going into a store or a food place or something like that, I always ask the person that's driving me if they'd like something. Is there anything I can get you while I'm there for your trouble? And it's just a nice way to say thank you. So these are just some simple things that I do when someone is helping me out. If you've got any ideas of some things that you can come up with, leave them in the comments, and everybody have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.